What is up, everybody? This is going to be a review of, well, Friday, the last day of Merritt Black's Apteros Intensive. If you've not seen the other videos, go check them out. There's several of them. I would watch all of them in chronological order. If you've not, you should probably do it, because my thoughts and opinions are shifting throughout the week. Okay, so we're going to look at Friday. Unfortunately, his trade entries and his levels and stuff, like, they haven't posted the video yet. So therefore, I can't show you guys his screen like I did in the last videos, and I want to get this over with. So this is my P&L. Again, very low. And this is me trading at the same time as he is. So the P&Ls I've been showing you are me trading when he does and stopping when he does. And then I show you my results for that part of the session. Again, it's to benchmark myself to see how decent I am. But I am very much trading my own system, so I'm not taking his trades. I'm not really trading the NADRO system. And again, a lot of this is explained in the previous videos. But interestingly enough, a lot of the trades we're taking are in the same areas. But yes, that's the P&L. Again, these opens have been atrocious. The volatility has been atrocious. And he really didn't do that great this week. So I just want to say, I mean, I've been through several of these intensives at this point. And like the last one, he won every fucking day. So the volatility wasn't there. I struggled to pull decent P&L in the morning pretty much every fucking day this week. The market conditions just simply aren't there. So, you know, they say 10% of the time you make 90% of the money, and I find that to be true. But where my big runs are coming in are going to be end of day. So I want to stop the video right here. I'm literally filming this segment right now, 2 weeks later from when you are watching this. I've been able to finally watch Merritt's end of week review. So now I can kind of come with you with that stuff, and then I'll continue the original clip from 2 weeks ago. So that kind of makes this video a little janky in some ways, but I want to talk about all of this. So let me pull up some stuff. So he was down 2R for the week. Okay. I don't really use R's, but 2R for the week. I know he's picked up 3R on one of the trades, one of the days. So I kind of can tell what that might be, which really it doesn't seem like he was down that much. So he had a win rate of 35%, which he mentioned is a little low for me. Not odd to see at times, but on the lower end. Guys, I will hit in the 30% at times for me. I usually average about mid-40s, but there are times I am definitely chopping in the 30% range as well. So to me, that's not abnormal. Just as he said, his average win-loss ratio was 1-4. This is very low due to several trades with small scales, then small scratches which were tiny wins, hurting the average winner side of the equation, and not many great winners this week, essentially only 3 good winners, he said. He also mentioned that things were abnormal in this week. The quarter, it was the end of the quarter, which brought in some weirdness. I definitely agree with that. He did complain about the lack of good conditions, which I thought they were fucking atrocious as well. Lack of high quality setups. Friday was the only day where there was like an actually high quality narrative, I believe he said, but there was no follow through. So let me continue with his stats. Those were some of my notes. His largest winner to largest loser ratio, 4-1. Average hold time winners, 8 minutes. He did mention there was that 8 minutes is a bit unusual. Let me see if I took notes on that. Okay, so he wants to see a higher average hold time. He mentioned something, maybe the scratches were too aggressive instead of just sort of sticking to certain processes. He feels he got a little aggressive with some of the scratching, which that's happened to me plenty of fucking times. It still does. And even though it's a down week, he says he isn't concerned about that down week because the following weeks will be good. Now, here's the kicker. This is 2 weeks later. The prior week, I was down $3,000. Okay. There was a higher time frame setup that I kept trying to fucking fight for. Okay. So I'm just saying, if you guys watched me trade last week, you guys, and here's the problem. You can't put judgment on a trader for one fucking week of performance, okay? I think a lot of you guys are fucking brainwashed by what all the Twitter fuckboys say. And all the bullshit you guys consume on YouTube. Because in reality, good traders have down weeks. By no means do I consider myself a professional, but I've been doing this for 6.5 fucking years now. And I just had a fucking down week. And there was so many things I could have done in my power to fix it. And here's a real kicker, in which I'm probably going to do a video on because it got a lot of attention. Yesterday, I had a trade that ran almost 15K. It was more than 15K. It had to have been closer to 18. But we're just going to say 15,000. I let it come all the way back. And then I ended the day minus $3,000. So, this week, I was down, this week and last week, I was down a total of 7,500. Luckily, I dug out of it today. Again, this is another video, and I only have about 2,200 till I'm about break even. But essentially, I'm not getting paid for 2 weeks. So does that make me a fucking shitty trader? I don't know. I'll let you guys decide. But I'm going to do a video on that most likely. Explaining it was a fucking A+ setup. Everything was there. There was only one mistake made. And it wasn't that I didn't scale out aggressively. It was that I should have paid for last week's loss on some of that scale, which I didn't do. Other than that, it coming back made sense because there could have been a roll and a push in my favor due to many circumstances. But I remember one time I told a trader, or I made a video explaining how I let a big trade come back, which this happens to me quite frequently. Not quite frequently, but it definitely happens. It happens every week. But learning to hold trades is fucking hard. And I've suffered an identity crisis. I've said it in many videos. Learning to hold a trade is a real fucking bitch. And the only way for me to have like the $14,000 trade, I've had a $25,000 trade you guys know nothing about. Some people do. But it was never publicly talked about. It took a lot of trades coming back for me to learn how to actually hold, because holding is a skill set. And I remember some guy, I said he was going to unsubscribe to me for letting a trade come back. And I think it's very easy for you guys to pass judgment on another fucking trader. And honestly, I think it's like a fucking relationship. Your buddy's in a fucking abusive relationship. You tell him to get the fuck out of it. It's easy for you to tell somebody what to do. But the moment you're in it, you don't listen to nobody's advice, or it's just you're kind of in this world. You know what I'm saying? It's easy to tell somebody else what they should have done, right? Because I talked about Merritts' trade that I don't think he should have done in one of the earlier videos. It's easy to say you should never done that, but to be in that moment, right? I let a $15,000 fucking trade come back. And to be honest with you, I know I'm going to catch flack. It got a lot of attention. But those of you who want to give me shit for it, go fuck yourself. I don't care, to be honest with you, because I am going to break down why that was such a good fucking trade and why I needed to hold it. So should you guys never listen to me ever again or judge me for what I've done over the last 2 weeks? That's fine if you don't want to. The X button for the window browser is right there. Go ahead and fucking hit it. But the moment a trader stumbles, everybody's like, "Oh, you're gonna fucking stumble." Okay? And I've explained why through the eyes of experience, for me, this was good to see. I wish it could have been better, but whatever. It was good to see with Merritt. So average hold time loser 7 minutes. And he says this is very abnormal on the winning side. Partly my fault on a few, partly due to market not providing decent wins. You guys have seen my fucking P&L for when he was trading. They won shit. They won shit. What do you do when there's nothing happening in the markets? So let me go ahead and finish up my notes here. He did have students who traded better. He did have students hit certain setups he should have been in. He had certain students hold stuff. Okay? I have a coaching student, which I'm going to talk about in another episode. His name's Ghost. And there are days where I'm not doing so hot and he does great. But he's pretty much trading a lot of what I taught him. Same thing with Merritt students. I got guys that know a lot about my system that can outperform me on certain days. So I know for a fact that he had students hit certain trades and milk them. And there were times where he got up and missed good opportunities because he left that other students hit. Okay. So I want to mention about he didn't let the issues, especially the one on Tuesday, that not so good trade, to cause him to press and go tilt like it would all of you. Guys, and here's the thing. So I was telling a bunch of traders when I'm mentally prepared for this $15,000 to come back, and I don't give a shit. Not that I don't want $15,000, but because of the contextual cueing behind what was there and what could potentially happen and the scenario that was baked into it. So I was ready. I was fine. If it happened, it happened because I stood to make 40 grand on the fucking thing, which would have been the craziest fucking trade ever. And it's going to happen one day, and you guys will see. Unless you get upset and unsubscribe, then go ahead. I don't care. But it's going to fucking happen. Now, it didn't fuck with me. It didn't fuck with me. Actually, one of my traders said he did not close his $15,000 trade. He let it come back. It was a moonshot. Crazy how he did that, and it still did not tilt. Most guys would blow up there. Most of you guys would lose your fucking shit and fuck it even worse. That's the difference between a really good trader and an amateur. Because you'd probably be thinking, oh, I could use this $15,000 to do this or that. I don't even think about it like that. For me, it's the trade, it's the game. And Merritt didn't let any of this fuck with him. Which, from my experience, is a sign of trader maturity. Okay? So, that was very good to see somebody handle a mistake. We all make mistakes. You're gonna make mistakes. There's never a point in your trading career where you don't fuck up. You're gonna make fucking mistakes. It's gonna happen. Good traders just make less of them. Okay? And that's not to be mistaken with taking a loss that wasn't a good trade. Taking a loss that was a good setup isn't a mistake. So, he didn't press. He didn't go on tilt. It happened, and it's going to happen again because of poor conditions. Mistakes and missed opportunities were the main reason, also extending the limits of discretionary scratches. Those are kind of my own notes. And then he also mentioned, and I've talked about this in my course videos. If you want a full review of the NADRO course, go check this out. Look at the timestamp. But I talk about this in one of those videos, in this video or this other one. I don't remember which one. You can watch both. But I talk about how you need to go through courses multiple times because after so many months, you start to pick up new information. Merritt said you probably should go through NADRO 5 times. This is reinforcing something I said a long fucking time ago. Because as you go through the intensives, you're going to get more and more and more out of it. And there's a bunch of people in my community that swear by it. So if you guys want to get a discount, there's actually a landing page. Okay, here it is. No, it's in the link in the description. No longer do you need to use a coupon code. You go straight here. The discount's already baked in. And you can save quite a bit on NADRO, the standalone in the center if you want that. He's got intensives, which are exclusive through just this landing page. So if you guys are interested, check it out. But I got guys in the community that are in his community as well. Guys that have come to my community that have permanently gone over there, which is fine with me. That swear by the framework, because what's interesting is you can take the framework of it and mold it into your own style. But yes, let's continue reading the stats. So here are things he did poorly on a Monday through Friday basis. Monday, which I wasn't there for, so I'll actually skip that. I'll go Tuesday through Friday. Tuesday, he had a very bad mistake made in an acceptance read. There was a large opportunity not only missed, but also losers taken opposite of main idea. And again, a lot of his students were going against his position as well as I. But that's okay. We make mistakes. I left 15,000 on the fucking table. Okay? So if that bothers you, again, you don't have to watch this channel ever again. I won't cry about it. Wednesday, he missed the easiest, best trade of the day midday because he got up. This is why I would like us to see him do end of day trading. But that happens. Sometimes you leave and you miss the best trades. Thursday, he had a discretionary scratch exit of core, and it was costly, missing narrative with a completion run lower. Friday, he missed an easy IPB trade. I don't remember what that is. With structural confluence, a trade discussed repeatedly as the ideal way to wait for confirmation of cautious long. Also, discretionary scratch out prior to that had me flat. And these are his notes. And in a very low confidence mode for market op, thus away from desk. Things he did well, because it's always important to talk about what you did well. This is a Dr. Brent Steenbarger thing. He even mentioned this is a Dr. Brent Steenbarger thing, which Dr. Brent Steenbarger is my spirit animal. And I've done a private event with him before, and he cusses up a storm too. So I love that man. Things I did well. Monday, we'll go to Tuesday. Good recognition of Momo entry, candidate, and morphing into giving it a real chance to work. Great scalp into the close. Great job not letting poor trading affect decision-making beyond the poor trades themselves. Wednesday, great job taking what was given. Holding out for the best scales but not overstaying my welcome. Forcing the idea. Thursday, and that's the thing. There's a point in time where you're fighting for something and you just have to give up. Happens to me all the fucking time. Every fucking week. Thursday, great job attempting to go with what is at every step. Perfect flip to shorts. Once time acceptance in DVA. Great scale outs, especially during difficult early grind chop. Friday, took foot off gas, recognizing conditions and not doing more damage to P&L. Nice aggressive entry late in the session, recognizing cleaner price action, following contextual order flow shift. And then finally, overlook week and looking forward. He said it was a rough one, but these things happen. Certainly pretty poor conditions, which again, they fucking sucked. They fucking sucked. So pretty poor conditions from the market, but my own mistakes and missed opportunities are the main reason for the slight down week. I could have performed much better. I could have performed better last week instead of coming out 3K in the shitter. And I could have performed better this fucking week, but I didn't. So, it is what it is, guys. Sometimes shit fucking happens. And this is what trading really fucking looks like. So when you guys ask me how much can you average per month or week or year, I don't fucking know. It's so random. It's so fucking random, guys. So I'm literally spending 2 weeks trying to get break even, for fuck's sakes. At this point, yesterday was supposed to be the big one. Today, the trade actually worked out. Of course, that's how it works, right? Just like when Merritt gets up, something happens. Sometimes you're just like synced up with the market that the moment you give up on it or the moment you leave, what you needed to happen fucking happens. It happened today, and fuck, I was in it perfectly on full size, but I had to scale because I told myself I ain't holding shit today. I got to fix all these problems with these medium-sized trades, and then it fucking worked. He said the key things I can do next week to improve are no silly basic mistakes and acceptance reads. Stick with the priority trade opportunities. Number 2, take your best scalp opportunities without hesitation. He did. So I've said in prior videos that he talked about these good entries and then I took them. He should have took them too, but he hesitated. And then I did well on those. So happens to me too. I just like trade management is probably the hardest thing to do in trading. Like really learning how to finesse it all. It's just never perfect and it's not easy. Be around for the easy trades. Set alerts if you need to. Things I can continue to do well are staying in tune with what is and being adaptive. Not letting any mistakes made affect my decision making on following sequences. Also giving myself freedom to take great scalps given that they do not directly with proximity go against the main hypo for the session. It's so much easier to scalp with your main hypothesis. I can tell you from my own experience. And he said, relax this weekend and come back fresh for the next week. Wish it could have been better. I've seen better intensives. But this is real world shit, guys. Anyways, with that being said, and I'm sure I might have lost some people, good, because of giving back 15K, good. I'll have a video explaining that. Back to this. And we're going to be watching it from 2 weeks ago, so keep that in mind. So here's the full P&L for the entire session. Obviously, these trades should have never happened. Those were fucking stupid. But every other trade was a good idea. But these two losses here were not a good deal. This $1,000 loss was good. We scaled to 12. Haven't scaled to 12 in a while, but there was an incredibly high time frame short for me. And Merritt actually had it in the same area. Oh, no wonders the videos aren't posted. I just realized that they're doing a review session, and I just fucking totally forgot. Whoops. I'll have to watch that later, because they do a review at the end of the market. Okay, either way, I'm going to continue this. So this trade was, I mean, that's a very high time frame short. And for me, a 12 lot is only on special occasions, so we haven't seen one of those in a while. But that's a full session. I'm not sure how he did at the end of the day, because he was looking for a fade in roughly the same area as I was. If he did take a trade, but unfortunately we're not seeing streams from him at the end of the day, which I want to see. I want to see him trade the last few hours of the day, and another trader who was in this intensive would like to see that. And they're open to suggestions for improving the intensive. We would like to see end of day trading. Especially me, because there's more expected value baked into the price action. Not that necessarily Merritt is using what I'm using or looking what I'm looking at, but for me, the big fat runs are usually later day for me. So that would be nice. But as far as matching him goes, that's it. That's a lot of trades for only 450 fucking bucks too. So since I don't have any of his stuff, I can explain to you what happened. So my plan was, hold on. Okay, so for me, there's a very solid curve here. My plan was to hit this. Let me pull up a 10-minute chart. So here's a 10. So we can get a bit of a bigger picture perspective. I'm looking at this. So for me, yesterday was a short. Merritt greased that short perfectly. That was the best trade. I didn't see his trading on Monday. I have no idea what happened on Monday, but he hit exactly where I wanted, but I missed it. So he really crushed it in that section. Obviously, it didn't come all the way through. I had a long right in this section that I held through the overnight session up to here. That's only the second time I've ever done that. That's in the prior video. So, again, this isn't a playlist. You need to go watch the fucking playlist in order. So, for me, this is a really critical area. And since there is a curve here, I want to get long on that low node. Now, guys, I'm showing you part of my system that I've not really talked about on YouTube. Don't think it's that cut and dry and it's that simple, because there's a lot more to my trading than meets the eye. So just because there's a low node there doesn't mean take low node trade. No. There's a lot of other things I'm factoring in. So, I mean, in the overnight, they kind of came up here and it's like really banging around. They start probing and testing that curve. So therefore, there's expected value being baked into the trade. I do have a video on expected value. It's a must watch. So let's go in on a smaller time frame, back to the 30-second. So that's what we're looking at. Unfortunately for me, I wanted that low node to get hit. We literally opened right here, and it rotated 2 ticks above it, Never fucking came back. Never gave me a quality pullback. Nothing. So I had to settle for what you see on the P&L, which are these really peanutty trades, because I can't get into a good fucking spot. I wanted a pullback right here. Couldn't fucking get it. So Merritt and I have been somewhat trading roughly the same areas. And I would say this is the one time I disagreed with what he was doing. And this isn't, I'm right, you're wrong. This is because of the way I build out narrative and context. What you guys have to understand is a trader can only go as far as his tools allow him. Your tools allow you to see the market. Reading price action, profile, order flow is the Rosetta Stone of trying to translate market talk into something you can understand. So what I'm looking at may not make sense to some people, or a lot of people actually. So therefore, just because it doesn't make sense to you doesn't mean it doesn't work. It's like a magic trick. It's like a magician. He pulled the rabbit out of the fucking hat. But it's just an optical illusion, right? Once you understand how that is done and he shows you the magic trick, then it doesn't look like sorcery, I guess you could say. Now, the thing is, Merritt looks at completely different shit than me. He's looking at different structure, different setups, different everything. Ironically, we've been really targeting a lot of the same spots. Now, I don't know exactly where he had it, but I know he was looking for a short in this location. I don't know if it happened or not. But for me, this area was a short. I got it here on the 12 lots and wrote it there. 28s were very finicky. They were floating a lot. I had got beat up so bad that I pissed away almost the entire day fighting on larger size, that I had to fix part of the problem, which I have a video on bankroll. So that 12 lot trade I would normally let ride out a little longer. But if you get beat up so bad, there's a point in time where you just need to start fixing it, even though it could be a high probability trade that could keep running. Obviously, it didn't. And part of why I initially pulled 8 to fix the loss, I fixed the loss. I was going to run another 4 further, but then the way I saw 28 was floating, I'm like, okay, this is just probably going to bang through. And still willing to fight a short in this area, depending on what happens on Monday. Because I realize it's going to be overshoot. I'm not going to just immediately fight for a short, but I'm willing to hit it with some size again. Luckily for me, I knew I was going to short up there, so a lot of today was being very conservative by padding up the P&L, to get ready for this, so that way I could actually fight for it, because the 12 lot stops are very large, and realistically I don't have many shots. So I basically cash flowed about 1900 through smaller trades. So therefore, again, I talk a lot about it in this bankroll video. So that was really a saving grace. As you can see, we have a $3,000 winner. I mean, we went all the way down to 62.50. It's less on commissions. I think I paid close to 500 or some shit. I know he had something up there, and that was a major deal for him. That's a major deal for me. So that's something we agreed on. The one thing I've seen all week we didn't agree on was this area. He was shorting this area. And for me, it wasn't a good idea. But that's because of this curve that's here. Which he doesn't look at this specific chart. So he doesn't know it's there, and it doesn't matter, to be honest with you, because while I'm relatively nimble, because I did good all week, where he had some down sessions, but I need you guys to know this isn't to dismiss him as a trader. The amount of size he's pushing, you can't be as nimble as I can be. You know, I'm not trading much size that I can be very nimble. Understand my history of trading too. I've spent most of my career scalping and really learning this shit on the most smallest increment of shit. I use a DOM and tape, which, you know, Merritt has mentioned is going to allow you to see a little bit deeper. You know, and I've been using it for fucking ever, so I'm just a bit more nimble. And the thing is, I'm going to have scalability issues. I cannot trade the size he would trade the way I do it. It's not going to fucking work. I'm going to have problems. But he does hit these fucking very fat fucking runs that I just simply am not fucking hitting. So he does pick up some really monstrosity of trades. And in my own trading, big trades fix all the problems. Big trades fix all the problems. And, you know, there was one morning he was talking about it. You know, there are weeks where everything, like the last intensive, everything he's doing is a win. Then there's weeks where he said most of the time it's kind of give and take. It's not really, you're just kind of there. And then there are weeks where you don't perform well. I had my issues in February. And if you guys were to watch me trade throughout this week period of February, it was pretty, the performance was really not there at all. So I have my moments in my trading where the performance is just not there. But that's the reality of the fucking game. You can't sit there and think some professional trader, which again, I'm not, is just going to fucking crush it all week, day after day after day. That's not how it works. Just like professional poker players, they don't win every fucking day. You're not going to win every fucking day. But from what I recall, the trade yesterday pretty much fixed the week. Not sure what happened in the day today. I don't know what he was doing. So something could have happened otherwise. And again, it's not, this isn't like, ooh, look at me. This is a comparison video by any means. I think it was fun. And like I said in the last video, I would like to sit there and just listen to him trade because it gives me a level of confirmation because I understand the system pretty well, that I know what he's doing and why. But just, he was getting short in this section and it wasn't a good idea in my opinion. And I'm going to explain why. Because of this curve, first and foremost. There's a lot of pressure here. We kept coming up. We baked in expected value with failures of this curve. And then the psych price of 4,100 is right here. That price had already failed. So if we go to a 120-minute chart, you can see right in this section, right here is 4,100. Well, it's 4,150, but whatever. It rotated it. Yes, it peaked through it, but it rotated 4,100. On a steep pullback that took many days. You know, it was in there on the 17th, and it took all the way till March 5th to retest it on a very steep, well over 100, 200 point pullback. I don't know exactly what, but that's a fat fucking pullback. Oh, no. I'm sorry, it's right here. That's a big fucking pullback. That went all the way to 66s. So yeah, that's over 100 points on that pullback, like 140 points or something. Retests it, pivots 4,100s clean, and then we're coming back up. And I know there's already pressure in this section because of the rotations. It made sense 4,100s were going to let go from the way I read the market, okay? It makes sense from that perspective because I look for pressure points, right? On top of it, you have this curve. On top of it, it's being tested. On top of that, 4,100, these psych numbers like that, they tend to fucking make the market snap back and forth, and that's what fucking happened. It was it was magnetizing the price action and causing it to snap in. So I was willing to short, but it had to be here. I wanted to long it. And again, I barely missed it, unfortunately. And I would have milked the motherfucker pretty good. Wouldn't necessarily rode it all the way to the high. But I would have definitely been scaling in this section. And then maybe put a little bit on, then maybe leave a little bit on, and then try to hit it the rest off right there. And then if I could have, I might have rode the rest. But that's hindsight. I don't know exactly what I would have done. But obviously, if I had been slightly quicker, I would have nailed really the bottom. But I didn't. I missed it. So he did a lot of shorting in this section. I think he did a little too much. So I just didn't see those shorts being good. You could see it in the tape. They were calling it out in the Delta as well. It just was going up. But I know he doesn't use a DOM, but something I see in the DOM that's telling me this is probably going to sustain an upward pressure is when you watch the DOM, you'll notice it like drop in slow. It'll drop slow and then it'll pop up fast, and it'll drop in slow and it'll pop up fast, and it'll drop in slow and it'll pop up fast. It was doing a lot of that in this section. That's to me is a sign that they're gonna puke it. And that was what was happening at 28s later in the day, hence the reason I pulled my position, because it was dropping, popping, dropping slow, popping hard, dropping slow, popping hard. He doesn't look at that stuff. And it's not to say that he has to. It's just when you use different things, you're going to see different stuff. Plain and fucking simple. He's seeing things I don't see all the time. And I think retail traders really, they don't fucking get it. I think you guys have been brainwashed too much by Twitter traders who are these big celebrities who don't show trades on the hard right edge or talk technical. Listening to Merritt talk about trading is a pleasure. Like, you know, I ask him questions and I really thoroughly enjoyed hearing him talk about the the technicals of trading and psychology and when to do what. And, you know, you can tell he knows what he's fucking doing. And also when you watch the streams, and I do appreciate this intensive because I got to watch him deal with a fucked up week. again, the volatility sucked. It sucked for me, sucked for him, it sucked for everybody else. And I think it is good to not watch a trader crushing it all the time, because it's not like that all the time. How are you trading when things are difficult? How are you handling yourself when times are tough? And you could obviously see his face in the footage, and he just was completely like the psychological maturity he has is just on a whole nother fucking level. Obviously, you guys know I'm a huge proponent of psychology. You should watch this video on psychology, by the way. But very stone cold face, not reacting to any of this shit. Very much okay with it. And you gotta be. And he has complete faith and trust in his system. And it's gonna fucking hit big. Whereas most traders would lose their shit or can't handle a down day. So watching him, and that's the thing, yesterday he hit a good win, and he said, see guys, this is what happens. You keep your stuff together, keep the wrist tight, and then eventually you hit it. And that's the thing, the good trade always comes. The good trade always comes, but a lot of you guys get lost in the ebb and flow of it all. I missed this trade, fuck, or I should have done this. Dude, I missed this fucking long, but I kept my shit cool. Like, I just stayed cool. I missed that fucking long at the open, at the bottom of today, in the spot I wanted so bad. I didn't let it freak me the fuck out. I had to let it go. If I didn't let it go and I started FOMOing the fucking market, I would have fucked myself. You're gonna fucking miss them. Is that okay? Not necessarily, but it's gonna happen. Trade management is never gonna be perfect, and Merritt said that in lesson 1 of the NADRO course, and it is very true. Your trade management will never be perfect. You have to accept that. And just in the psychology video, you have to just not be attached to outcome and just be content. And Merritt he's on that level psychologically. Therefore, it works for him. Right? And I appreciate seeing a trader, a good trader, struggling. Because you learn from that. And for the most part, we were on the same page. You can watch all the videos where we're looking at this. Even though the way I'm doing auction market theory is so different, I thought that was crazy. I thought that was fucking cool. Just how we're on the same pages. And he gave up on the fight too. I think he went a little too much on the fighting. Because at some point I'm like, shit, dude, you got to give it up. But he did. He gave it up. Because if we take a look at my P&L. So this is the morning. Let me actually pull the timestamps. Well, I have the timestamps here. So here's the timestamps. 8:31 to 8:32, right? 2 trades. Then I waited about 9 minutes, right? Then I waited about, 19 minutes? And then I waited about 10 minutes. Then I waited 30 minutes. Okay? So you can see that, even though this might look like aggressive fighting, look at the timestamp. I try it 2 times. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. For me, it's try it 2. It depends what's going on, but if it's a subpar trade, give it maybe 1 or 2 shots, then leave it the fuck alone. That's what works for me. Okay? And those are all trades I'm trying to get to go, but they're not. So hence the reason of cash flowing shit. Now, I did ask him a question. I asked him, you know, because for me, I notice a lot of trades are coming back these days. A lot of things are coming back. I know you're experiencing that in NADRO as well. How are you handling it? What is the finesse? And it's basically, you know, he's being more aggressive with scaling out. He's taking more size off sooner because that's what you have to do. And it gave me confirmation that what I'm doing is right because I have to do the exact same thing. So hearing it from another trader who I know has been in the industry for a long time, who I know knows what they're doing, that just gave me a level of confirmation. Because Ryan at Apteros asked me, you know, share your perspective on this shit. And again, the way I'm going to perceive it is completely different than what you guys are getting out of it because I've been doing it for 6.5 years. So I have a lot more experience than most of you. And I've been doing auction market theory for a very long time. So a lot of what Merritt's doing is similar. And I would say the way he talks about trading, he does it from a place of passion. He really does. He can really go on about it forever. So I would say we're really on the same level as far as the way we kind of think about this shit, even though our systems are different. So it gives me confidence that the way I'm finessing the market, somebody else who knows what they're doing is doing it as well. Whereas if you meet some trader who you're not A, familiar with their system, and B, you don't really know how good they are, hearing how other traders are finessing the market these days, it's really hard. I kind of take that with a grain of salt. But I think it's very powerful to, and this is where I think prop is powerful in a lot of ways. If you're on a desk with like-minded traders on a team or some shit, I think community is very valuable when you're dealing with like-minded traders who are kind of trading the same style or system. It's very powerful. Because I know another trader who I know is good, and when he's looking at the same area as me, that's an extra level of confirmation. So that is my thought on today's session. He kind of threw it in a bit earlier in the session. So, you know, it just made sense because of how fucked up it was in this area. And it had stayed in there for quite some time. I believe that is about an hour. Yeah, about an hour of chopping. And then it just started grinding up, and neither of us really could get into it. And it's like, well, fuck. You know, neither of us, there wasn't anything good. Now, interestingly enough, when it puked right here, he was talking about, this reminds me of the pullbacks and when the market was trading back in 2010. He goes, the price action reminds me of 2010. I wasn't trading there. And at this very area, he says that might be a good place to get in. I happen to nail it because for me, that was a viable attempt. So interestingly enough, we both agreed with that entry. He just didn't do it. Just like the prior day, I didn't hit the short that I wanted that he got. So that is us agreeing with something. The only disagreement I've had with him all week was just shorting this section. That's it. But it's interesting. Little things like this. Just a little thing like that. He has this gut feeling to hit it. And it's like, wait, so do I. So it's interesting how, for me, that I'm like synced up in a way. Even though the system is a bit different. But he's watched these markets a lot longer than I have. So at some point, your intuition your trading intuition, it's just such a powerful edge. And watching the price bob and weave, at some point you just know. And that really cannot be taught at all. So with that being said, they did mention that it's the end of the quarter. They're not going to do, from what I recall, another intensive near the end of the quarter. So that might have been why the week was so bad. I don't really recall end of quarter trading. I don't think I pay attention and go, oh, it's end of quarter. But, that's could have contributed to why the trading was so bad. The book was really thick as well, unusually thick today. So with that being said, I really didn't have much. When I went into it, I didn't know what my expectations was. It wasn't that I didn't have much expectation, because again, listening to him talk and just talk trading, how he's doing his prep, why he's looking at an area, why he wants to trade an area, where the dissonance is, all of that shit, and then taking our questions and answers. That's something I haven't talked about enough in these videos, but that alone is really insightful. It's really good to hear the talking points. Obviously, we primarily focused on trades. Again, I struggled too. It was good. I'm very interested in the next intensive, because it's probably going to be better volatility. And I'm interested in seeing how I can benchmark with him, because I want to see how I can benchmark when the market is alive and well. I want to see the difference, again, for my own personal sake. It's not at all, this is not a dick measuring contest at all. It's just fun to see how you can compare to somebody else who's doing something similar, that's at a higher level than you, to kind of see where you're at. And I learned a lot. I learned about dynamic stops, which I'm getting better at. I've been so rigid on stops, and just learning how he adjusts the risk. Since I've been practicing it for a while now, that was very insightful. So I think it was good. And I do have, again, they gave it to me for free. I promised I would do content for them. But they allowed me to say whatever I wanted to. There it is. I enjoyed it. I'm not trying to say things to be nice because I got free stuff. I will never take on some sort of deal like this if I can't be 100% myself and say exactly how I feel about it. Obviously, I didn't agree with certain trades, but I did get a lot from it. It was good. It was eye-opening for me. In a lot of ways. Again, I wish I could listen to him every trading session on a mic. That would be so beneficial, to have access to that all the fucking time. But unfortunately, I can't. Because communicating with other traders do help. Unfortunately, I don't have access to people on a higher level than I do. So I don't really get that as much, because I help a lot of other traders. So I don't know what it's like to be kind of under somebody with more experience. And these intensives give me that taste of it. I would say NADRO is probably the most complete system available to auction market theory guys. because it has everything from higher time frame analysis to lower time frame analysis. Merritt did mention he might introduce a scalping course, but he's not sure if we would be interested in that. I think he should do it because obviously you guys know, being on my channel, scalping is an incredibly valuable fucking skill. You guys can take a lot of what I'm doing with the order flow on the depth of market, and you can certainly apply it to NADRO if you don't want to use delta or footprints. You can apply a depth of market or order flow to any system, in my opinion. But it's the most A to Z system for auction market theory. The framework is there to where you can create your own identity and style within it, which I certainly have. I have certainly borrowed and taken components from it, like acceptance and compression. And when he talked about the rhythm aspect in it, that was very eye-opening as well. So now I do look at it from that perspective, but in a different way. And I build narratives, and I use pivot points as context, just like he does. So there's a lot of what I do that is similar. The narrative, yes. Context building, yes. Acceptance, yes. Most definitely. Obviously in a completely different, unique way, but yes, absolutely acceptance. The compression, yes. The rhythm aspect, yes. My order flow is completely fucking different, but understand where I came from in my background. So the way I do order flow is different. I'm also looking at very small time frame charts. I look at a 3-second chart. I look at a 30-second chart. And for me, finessing the most precise entry is something I've been obsessively working on my entire trading career. For the longest time, I ran 6-tick stops. So my trading is very fucking tight at times. But unfortunately, that causes scalability issues. And when you're trading 20, 40 fucking lots, you can't do what I do. You can only get away with that on so much size. And I do have problems with fills at this point in time. It does happen. I had a problem with a fill today as well, trying to get out. I had an 8 lot on, and then 3 didn't get filled, and then I had to flat key them out. So, but yeah, I thought it was great. It was good. I enjoyed it. I had fun. I hope you guys enjoyed this video series. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing it from another trader's perspective, who's also doing auction market theory. Very interesting how we were kind of on the same page as far as certain trade locations. I thought that was nuts. So maybe there is a little bit more NADRO in my trading than I thought. But either way, guys, we'll see you in the next video.